Tomorrow, voters from this great state will head to the polls and pick who they want to be the 2016 presidential nominee. On the Republican side, 42 delegates are up for grabs. Tonight, for the full hour, GOP frontrunner Donald Trump with a special guest, his wife Melania. We invited people from all over Wisconsin to be a part of our audience tonight. We have a lot to get to, so let's welcome the 2016 Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump and his wife Melania.
What a group. Thank you.
I don't think you'd ever get sick of that,
Thank
right?
you. This is so great. Nice place. Beautiful theater.
So you had been real clear politics average. You were down 6.5%, but a poll just came out earlier tonight that has you up by 10 in this state. Is that possible? Change?
Yeah, very good poll, a good company. Let's see what happens. I mean, the only poll that matters is tomorrow, right?
That's true.
So we'll see. Thank you.
Because I never get a chance to talk to Melania, I'm going to start with Melania. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us here in Wisconsin.
Of course, it's great to be here.
You didn't want Donald to run.
Well, when we discussed and he asked me, I said, you know, we have a great life, because I know life changes after you know, all that's going on. And
it's changed a lot, right?
It changed a lot, and, you know, he's not home much and with me or with my son, so it's changed. That's why I said, but I know what he could do for the America, so.
But that's what you said. It's tough on the families. I mean, when they run a super PAC ad attacking you, is that painful?
I have a tough skin. I think it's not fair that they're attacking family, wife, or children.
Yeah.
It's unfair.
Yeah. All right. Now, my wife gives me great advice in my life, right, guys? We know what that's like. We get our best advice from our wife. You have said you want Donald to be more presidential sometimes. Explain that.
Well, sometimes I feel that, you know, the retweets sometimes get him in trouble, so I said stay away from, you know, stay away from retweets. And
He does say that.
And, you know, if he would only listen, you know, I could nag every day and every time, but, you know, he's doing great.
Is there a side of him that maybe you think the public doesn't know that you would want them to know about him?
I think he's very kind. He has a great heart. He would not harm anybody. He would not harm women or men. He's really a great, great guy. You know, beautiful heart, and he loves to help people. By all accounts, you had a pretty tough week. You actually said something in interviews with both Maureen Dowd and Bob Woodward that a lot of people were hoping you would do at some point, and you said, you know what, I think I shouldn't have sent that tweet out about Heidi Cruz.
Well, I think I really said, hey, I could have done without it, and it's true, and I wish I didn't send it out. It would have been simpler. It was done as a little bit of retaliation, but in the end, it's so, you know, it's just something, if I had it to do again, I would not have done it.
Yeah. Well, you know, you just had your 8th grandchild. This whole issue, when you were on with Chris Matthews, I was watching the interview. Well, he never shuts up. Which is so annoying. Sorry, it's true. And I was watching the interview, and he's grilling you and pushing and pushing. A hypothetical question on abortion, that became a problem for a few days. And I just thought I'd give you an opportunity, in your own words, to talk about abortion. Ted Cruz took the position today. He doesn't make exceptions for rape, incest, or the mother's life.
Right.
Is there a difference in your position?
There you go, Lion Ted. Lion Ted. You don't know what, because he lies. Lion Ted. L-Y-I-N apostrophe, right? Lion Ted.
And how does
so look,
go?
I will say this. You know I'm pro-life, okay?
Yes.
And with the exceptions, but I am pro-life. I did the show because it's not a high-rated show. He's always been, I mean, he has never treated me very badly. And frankly, he
treats you badly when you're not there.
Well, perhaps. I mean, but he's always been, you know, fine.
So he's a phone.
And I didn't think it was a big thing to do the show. And it was a hypothetical question. And as a hypothetical question, you give a hypothetical answer. And I didn't see the big, huge deal. And I will tell you this, John, and I'll say it, and we can, you know, have this out. But so many people called me up, and they thought that was a very strong answer and a very good. Pastor Jeffress, who's a fantastic guy who's been on your show.
Many times.
A great man.
But the reality is it's not the law.
Well, he said, but as a hypothetical question, that was a hypothetical answer that was not a wrong answer. And there were other people that wrote me letters, and I mean, by the hundreds, saying that was a great answer to that question, the way it was phrased.
Do you make exceptions? Because it's a very sensitive issue. It's a very personal issue. I know that my position of making exceptions for rape, incest in the mother's life are inconsistent a little bit with my belief that life begins at conception.
Okay, right.
Do you make those exceptions?
Well, I do. I mean, I come with the 3 exceptions, and I think it's very important. But I will say that, I mean, to me it's very important. I will say I watched Kasich being interviewed on a channel. I won't even say it. It didn't happen to be yours. They were talking about abortion, and he gave such a bad answer. It was so bad that at the end he said, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it. If I ever did that, if I ever gave that answer, it would have been 10 times bigger headlines. And I said, I wonder, oh, he's going to get killed. And I'm saying to myself, he's going to get killed for that answer. Nobody ever said anything. Nobody ever talked about it.
He doesn't have a chance to win.
Well, whatever. Nobody cares. I mean, it's like crazy. Crazy.
So, I want to ask this audience, because it became such a distraction. I watched the videotape at least 150 times. Did anybody see anything that looked like an assault? If you do, just... I didn't see it. The easier thing would have been to fire your campaign manager, make that problem go away. And you were asked a lot about that over the weekend. You wouldn't do it. Why?
Amazing the way he shifted to that topic. I mean, he went from it to assault, and I said, wait a minute, and he's talking about, look, I have a campaign manager who's he's a very good campaign manager, he's doing a great job, and all of this stuff. I mean, look, hopefully I can say he has an okay candidate, right? He has an okay candidate, but he is, I mean, we're #1 by a lot. We're leading by millions of votes. Nobody ever talks about the votes. You know, by millions and millions of votes over Cruz and over Kasich. Nobody ever talks about that. And we're also leading by, you know, we just won Missouri. Missouri just came in. But we're leading by close to 300 delegates. So we're leading by a lot. Corey is, forget about campaign manager, he's doing great. But Corey is a fine person. He's a good person. He's got 4 beautiful children. He's got a wife who's a terrific woman. He lives in New Hampshire, where I have a warm spot because that was my first victory. I mean, I love New Hampshire, right? So I have a warm spot. So I read the statement made by this person who I didn't know, Michelle Fields. She's a reporter. And you have to find out, did she quit or did she get fired? Because, you know, I heard a story about what happened, that they were pretty tough on her because they didn't necessarily believe it. I'm not saying you're going to have to ask them. I'm sure they'll eventually have to talk about it. But when I saw the tape, I saw her statement that she was practically thrown to the ground. And I said, that's terrible. And I would have fired him on the spot if that actually took place. Then I have very good security in my places. So I have beautiful security cameras all over for, not for this.
Thanks for the heads up.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
I know. But by the way, not for this, but, you know, it's the thing.
Whatever reason.
So I have these great security cameras. I said, do me a favor, check those cameras. Maybe there's something. So I read her statement that she was thrown to the ground or almost thrown to the ground and grabbed. Now I see her in the tape, right? First of all, she grabbed me or touched me or whatever, but she grabbed. And you see me looking and like this, right? Number one, she wasn't supposed to be there because we had just finished a press conference. But here's the thing. I saw Corey, and on your show, on various shows, they've had criminal defense lawyers. Everybody says, what did he do? He didn't do anything. How can I fire a man and ruin a man's life? And most of you have seen the tape. I mean, if anything, I'll tell you, if anything, and I say this, and you know, the easiest thing would have been, it's so sad, if I would have fired him, it would have been so much easier. This would be, I can't do that. I'm loyal to people. I'm loyal to the country. I'll be loyal to the people of the country. I mean, when I saw, and you know what I'm talking about, because I've seen a lot of different shows, not even yours too, but I've seen a lot of different shows where they have lawyers on, and they're showing the tape. And virtually every single one of them said, what did he do? It was almost that he was running interference. Number one, she wasn't supposed to be there. She cut in front of Secret Service.
The press conference was over.
It was over, and it was a long press conference.
And he just put the hand out, no more questions.
And she wasn't supposed to be asking me, so that's not a big deal. She's thrown. She shouldn't have been there. That's a certain space that you have with Secret Service, not supposed to be there. And if you look at him, he basically ran interference. I mean, it's not like... Now, do I destroy a man's life? Because, you know, if I fired him, that would be the destruction of his life professionally, in my opinion. Do I do that? Then I guess she reported him to the police department. And, I mean, he's got charges for what? And people are looking. She grabbed me. She touched me. I look down. You can see I'm pulling my arm, you know, as they run it slowly. She's not supposed to be there. Now, maybe I should file charges against her for grabbing me or touching me. You know, maybe I should find out. So I think it's...
You have now been...
By the way, Jupiter, Florida is a great place. I respect it.
It was a Hillary prosecutor.
But I want to tell you, I want to tell you, I think it's a real black eye to justice and to criminal justice when somebody gets in trouble
for nothing.
And I only say, thank goodness we had that tape. Because I can imagine, you know, when she saw that tape, all of a sudden the story sort of changed a little bit. It wasn't... Remember, you have to look at her first statement. Pulled to the ground or almost pulled to the ground. And it was like pretty vicious sounding. And then I saw the tape. So I think people should look at that. I think it's a great injustice.
Let me ask this question. Do you remember the day you came down Trump Towers? Melania was with you. Your family was there.
Yes.
You've been at this, what, 9 months?
Yeah.
9 months.
June 16th.
What have you learned the most about our political system, especially coming off of a hard week?
Well, what? Wait, what was that? You're so funny. Well, I've learned that our country is very poorly run, I can tell you that. No, I've learned there's great, and I have to say this, and you're a total professional, and there are others, but I've learned there's tremendous dishonesty in the media. Tremendous dishonesty. Beyond anything I've ever witnessed. Beyond anything I've ever witnessed. For instance, I talk about NATO, and I give this long study. I understand, you know, I get it. I get how it is. I said it's obsolete, and 2-3 days later, people say, wow, that was really something. I said that we're spending too much money. We're taking care of all the freeloaders. You know, we have 28 countries in there. We're taking care of a vast preponderance that they're not paying. And they're really not paying because nobody's asking them to pay, in my opinion. You know, I have an instinct for this stuff. They should pay. But it's really, you know, we need something for terrorism. That was set up, I think, 68 years ago or so for the Soviet Union. Well, the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. Russia's plenty tough. But here's the one thing. They cover my answer so inaccurately. And it's unbelievable. And every time I give a speech, I get a standing ovation on NATO and many other things. But the press takes about 3% of what I say, and they disguise it to make it look as bad as possible. So, you know, I'm very, very dishonest.
What advice throughout this campaign, Melania, have you given your husband? What would you like him to change a little bit?
Well, as we discussed before, I said, you know, tweeting and being more presidential. And he has, you know, great nights, and he can be presidential. But sometimes he cannot stand that somebody attacks him. Because if somebody attacks him, he will punch back 10 times harder.